Happy New Year, guys. Oh my god, I can't believe it's 2022, and honestly I've never been more ready for a new year. Like 2021, it did your girl dirty, and that's why, I mean, this video is completely impromptu. Like, I'm not even dressed. I'm still in pajama bottoms on a Sunday afternoon, and my original upload for today was going to be like a full transformation for New Year's. So my lashes, my hair, because I've obviously had my hair cut, and loads of other beauty treatments, which will be going live on Thursday. But I actually sat and reflected on 2021, not yesterday but the day before. And honestly, like, when I tell you, New Year's Eve, I spent the whole day in tears. Like, I was crying so much because I was sad, I was happy, I literally felt every emotion under the sun, because 2021 was probably the hardest year of my entire life. But the lessons I've learned and the person that I feel like I've become this, well, towards the end of the year, is crazy, and honestly made it so worth it. But I just wanted to sit down and have like an honest chat about, you know, like my mental health in 2021, and you know, like just some things that happened to me, and you know, like lessons that I'll be taking into 2022, and hopefully we can start the year off really good together and have a better year. It was actually a tweet I saw this morning that made me want to film this, and it said, gorgeous girls had the hardest year in 2021. It was something like that, and I was like, it's so comforting knowing that I wasn't alone in having the hardest year of my life. Like, when I tell you, mentally I suffered so badly, to the point where, I don't think any of you guys know this, but while I had my little YouTube break, I actually moved back in with my mum and dad for like a week. Just because my mum, might not have been a week, but my mum was so worried about me. Like, she was calling me all the time, and she was like, Madge, you're just gonna have to come home for a little bit. I was just not in a good place, and I know a lot of you are gonna be like, oh, you brought it on yourself, blah blah blah. I went through a really hard period there, but that to me wasn't the hardest part of 2021. I think the hardest part for me was just realizing that I didn't recognize myself anymore. I didn't look in the mirror and know, not like physically, but I just didn't, I forgot who I was. I was just this weird person that was putting on a front and that was really unhappy. And I feel like I always call it like toxic happiness, because I think when you're forcing it and it's not real, you're almost like, how do I explain it? You're not allowing yourself to feel certain emotions, and you're like, that is so toxic in itself. It's toxic for the people around you, it's toxic for yourself, and especially when you're an influencer, it's toxic for you guys as well. But at the beginning of the year, of course, that's what happened, which obviously just started the year anyway on a bad note, and that's what happened in January. So I really suffered for a few months actually with just like online abuse and stuff, which I understand, like, obviously I'd upset some of you guys, but yeah, like I said, it was more the reflection that I was doing and just realizing that I wasn't myself, which is why I wanted to start on my journey, I guess. I started going to therapy, and I mean, I got to a pretty dark place before I started going to therapy. Like, I remember saying to my mum, and I bless my mum, because I couldn't imagine my mum saying it to me, but I feel like it'd be even worse for your child to say to you, I don't think I'm meant to cope with life. Like, that's what I kept saying to her. I was like, I'm not built to cope with life. Like, I don't know, because I think anxiety runs in my family. Like, my dad gets quite anxious. I know, like, my dad's side of the family are all quite the same. Like, my cousin Charlie, we always talk about it. And I feel like when we get anxious, we almost get overwhelmed and just don't know how to deal with it. And I'm not gonna lie, there was a 2-day period where I was this is like very open and honest, and I'm sorry if this is too much information, but I was pretty certain that I just didn't want to be here anymore. And even thinking about that now, and when I thought about it on New Year's Eve, it made me so upset, because I genuinely told myself, it was no one on the internet, it was no one around me, I told myself I was not good enough to be on this earth, and I fully believed that. And could have done something because of that, and that wasn't anyone else's fault but my own. I'm a very, very good example of, I promise you, you can pull yourself out of that. If you're feeling like that right now, and you're feeling like the worst of the worst, like you can't come back from this, that your life's a mess and you can't cope with it, I'm telling you, as someone that has pulled herself out of it, and now sitting here, I feel the best I've ever felt in my life. And that just takes some work. It takes some time and it takes some work, and it's so annoying that it takes time. It's so annoying that there's not like a quick fix, but it's all a part of the journey. I feel amazing now because of the hardships that I've gone through. You need the high and low moments to appreciate it, and I feel like lockdown was such a good example of that, because didn't life just feel so amazing when we could start doing things again? When we was completely locked down, obviously it was so difficult for some of us, and you know, like, we dreamed about going shopping again and going for dinner and doing all these things, but when we actually did it, like, do you remember sitting down in a restaurant for the first time and having food brought to your table and getting the bill? Like, that to me just felt like the best thing ever, and that is something that I'd taken for granted for so long. But I feel like that's why life needs the highs and lows. But anyway, that happened, and then I'd slowly started pulling myself out of this really dark rut, and then I decided to take some time off YouTube as well, which I really do think helped. I think just having that little break just really made me focus on myself a little bit more, because otherwise I'm trying to be happy for you guys and, you know, be positive for you guys, and at the time I just wasn't, so I couldn't have faked it anymore. And then I don't really feel comfortable like talking about it on camera, but something pretty dramatic and pretty, like, it was bad, happened in my personal life, and I was heartbroken. I never felt pain like that in my entire life. I don't want to go in too much into it because it's done now, it's over, but I was not in a good place. I was probably, it was so annoying because I'd done all of this work and I really started feeling like myself again. And this probably happened in the start of July. And obviously by this time, I was back on YouTube. I wasn't going anywhere again. You guys were my priority at this point. The thing is with heartbreak, I feel like you can have moments where you're starting to feel yourself again, and then you just go back to square one. And it's such an up and down situation. Like, some days you can have good days, some days you can have bad days. So whenever I felt good, that's when I'd be filming. But again, in July, such a dark place. And then obviously just little things started happening, like my passport went missing, so I couldn't go on my girls' holiday. It doesn't sound like big things, but it was. There was an apartment that I wanted to buy that then fell through. There was just loads of things going on, just like little things, and I kept telling myself, like, this year is just shit. Like, I'm just gonna accept that this year is shit. And the more I was accepting that this year was shit, the more shit that happened. Like, more shit just came out of that. And I just kept telling myself, it's just a bad year, it's just a bad year. But it's when I actually sat down and I was like, I don't have to make the end of this year worse than it's already been. Like, I don't have to wait till January to have a good year again. Like, I can change it around, which in August I eventually started doing. So I went back to therapy. I only had like 3 sessions, but I felt like that was enough just to get me back on track to, you know, like starting on my self-love journey again and starting to heal like traumatic things that had happened to me. The biggest thing for me was just letting go, and that sounds like it's just, you know, just let go, it's fine. Like, honestly, if you take time to just, what I did was on New Year's Eve, I thought about the worst moments of this year, and I really thought about everything. Like, I literally sat down and remembered the comments I was getting. I remember how I felt when this thing happened in June, and I thought about it all and I made my peace with it. I was like, that's happened, I've learned from it. I wrote down all of the lessons that I'd learned from it, and I let it go. And I promise I started the year with the calmest heart. Any bad feelings towards anyone that I've had this year, or even in the past, like not even just this year, any bad feelings towards any single human being on this planet, whether it's someone that's left a bad comment, whether it's someone that's just spoken badly about me, whether it's someone that's hurt my family, anyone, I've let it go. I remember this quote, it wasn't really a quote, but I remember this saying, and it was saying, what was it? It was like, the longer you hold on to something is like you drinking poison and expecting the other person to die from the poison. You're literally, you holding on to this hatred is only hurting yourself. You're not hurting the other person by holding on to it. So when I read that, I was like, there are some things I've just got to let go of for my own peace of mind. And that person or them people or whoever it is that, you know, you're letting go of, they can deal with their own shit. Like, you don't get to live in my brain rent-free anymore. So everyone, I keep doing that because I've got these little side bangs now. Anyone that I had bad feelings towards, I just let it go. And again, this is why I was crying so much on New Year's Eve. Like, even ask Manny, not that you're gonna go and ask Manny, but all day New Year's Eve, I was praying, I was writing down goals, I was writing down things I want to leave in the last year, and I was crying and crying and crying because I felt so happy that I got to start this new year in a clear headspace and with a happy mind and with a good life. Like, I'm so blessed. But I also was reflecting on the last year and just how much I've gone through and how much I've learned and the journey that I've been on. And it just made me so emotional. If you've had a bad year as well, I am so sorry. And if you felt like I felt this year, then again, I am so sorry. But let me tell you, you are meant to be here, and it is such a fucking privilege to be alive. Like, the fact that we get to live is such a privilege. So please do not feel like you're not meant to be here, because everyone on this planet, like, there could be, like, you were meant to be born for a reason and you're here for a reason. And, you know, like, rather than spreading hatred and rather than, you know, like, doing yourself a disservice, just make sure that you are, one, looking after yourself, that you are prioritizing you, that you feel worthy of being here, and that you chase everything that you want to chase. I feel like, I know it's like the cliche thing to say, I'm saying a lot of cliche things, I don't know why I'm saying that, but it's cliche, but anything that you want in this life you can have. And I feel like if you want it enough and you work hard for it, you can get it, and no one else is going to do it for you but you. And this is everything that I've learned. Like, no one's going to go after my dreams but me. So just this year, I want everyone to dream big. I want you to look after yourself. I want you to, if you feel like you might need therapy or you're feeling in a really bad place, honestly, therapy has been so eye-opening for me and honestly changed my life, alongside journaling. And I mean, it takes you like 10 minutes to fill out a daily journal, and sometimes I can spend hours on TikTok. And I feel like when you think about what that's doing for you mentally, I mean, I actually do find some interesting information on TikTok sometimes, but if you think what you could do in them hours to better you, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's journaling, whether it's reading a book, just think about little ways like that that you can better yourself in the new year. When I did think about last year, so on New Year's Eve, I actually made a vision board, which I'm going to be honest, I've never made a vision board before. I've never really wrote down goals, but when I thought about the year before, I had no goals. I wasn't really making any big moves. I was just kind of plodding along and hoping that life would just get better and hoping that my career would get better and bigger, and, you know, like, my relationship would get better, but I didn't really have any specific goals. And I feel like it's almost like wanting to be a painter and not having a paintbrush. Like, if you've not got the right tools or you've not started right, then you're not gonna go anywhere. So I feel like writing goals for me was such a big one. I've also just wrote down a list of everything that I'm gonna leave in 2021, and that is hatred towards anyone. Not that I hate people, but any negative feelings that I felt towards anyone. I've left my past self in the past. We don't know her anymore. I only know this positive Mads. But when I say positive Mads, it's not me being positive all the time, because that is not I'm not a robot, like I'm human. I'm, you know, I'm gonna feel sad, I'm gonna have down days as well, but I think accepting the down days and accepting that you are gonna have hard times in your life just makes life so much easier, because you almost accept it, and rather than dwelling on it and making the whole thing worse, you'll be thinking, what life lesson can I learn out of this, and how much better will I feel in 6 months time, or in a year's time, or even in 5 minutes time? Do you know what I mean? Life feels so much sweeter after you've been through something hard. But yeah, I definitely want to think about my goals a little bit more. I want to prioritize myself, whether that's my mental health, even my physical appearance. Like, I want to make sure I'm keeping on top of my nails and my hair, only because I feel like some people may think that's like really, what's the word, like, what's the word? You know what I mean? Like, not showy. It's not the right attitude to like want to look good all the time, but I feel like I perform better when I look good. I'm gonna be honest. If I walked into a job interview with, or like a meeting with crazy hair, no makeup on, just rolled out of bed, still got sleep in my eye, I'm not going to perform the same if I walk in a sick outfit, my hair looks good, even if I've got a little bit of makeup on, I'm just going to perform so much differently because I feel and look my best. So that's definitely something I want to prioritize. I want to prioritize my physical health as well. I want to make sure we're all having a good year as well, which is why I feel like I'm going to try and do one of these like little chats every month, because I want us all to succeed. I want each and every one of you to succeed, because even when I think about you guys, like, you honestly are so incredible that you choose to watch my videos, and you've been so loyal and so supportive, and I am so grateful for that. And to show my appreciation, we are gonna have a sick year, and I'm gonna kind of like talk you through how I'm gonna live my year, and hopefully we can all just have an amazing 2022 together. But I'm gonna shut up. I feel like I've been talking for so long, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I just wanted to rant to you guys as my first video for the year. I hope it wasn't like too depressing or anything, but I honestly think this year is just going to be so good for us, and I'm putting it out there that every single person watching this video is going to have an amazing year. And I mean, you've got to also help yourself with that. So if you want to write down your goals, if you want to journal, if you want to, you know, even writing down things that you're leaving in the last year, like, it's still not too late to do that. Just because it's the 2nd of January doesn't mean even if you're watching this in March or September, you don't have to wait for a new year to change your life around or to start doing something differently. So if you want to do it, do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I honestly hope we all just have the most blessed year that is abundant, that is full of love, full of wealth, full of health. And yeah, I pray all of you guys are safe and well. I love you all. I am so grateful for every single one of you, and I can't believe that I'm entering a new year with you all. Yeah, I love you guys so much that it's untrue, and I will see you in the next video.